Hey everybody, welcome back to another Stone-Faced Reactions. I'm Theta, this is Rafferty, and we're here with episode 2 of Legend of the Galactic Heroes, New These. You
Yeah.
have anything to say about the last episode or expectations going into this one?
Wow, a bunch of stuff sure blew up. I wish I could rise in the military ranks by saying, what if we just won our battles instead of losing them?
To be fair, you do have to stand up to that guy who was on your bridge that says we should retreat,
Yeah. Yeah.
which means
But,
you have to be confident enough that you could win and not just say, let's win.
well,
So that when
I
that
mean,
guy shows up later, when you report back to home base or whatever, that I
does
said
he have,
retreat and he said go forwards.
does he have to report he's an excellency, which either means he's like the king or the pope?
In Legend of the Galactic Heroes on the Galactic Empire side, everybody in the Admiralty is also given territory. So you have
Yes.
like a planet or lands on the planet or whatever. So you have a rank like count or etc.
Right. The definition of the lord, as in
Yeah,
you have
you
land.
are a lordship basically. So your excellency is referring to that statement of fact.
Okay, because in European heraldry, excellency is a specific form of address reserved for kings and popes.
Yeah, now basically anybody from like admiral up is an excellency with
Well,
some
this is,
with some grandiose title behind their actual military title.
and also this would be an issue with the localizer because obviously we are watching the subtitled version, and the Japanese title they may be using might have like big, very different connotations about our space Germans here.
That I do not know. Did never investigated, and I don't believe it's the colloquial version of just they're not addressing somebody that they consider to be their equal. They are
Right.
obviously considering whoever they're talking to be their superior in some form or fashion.
And I'm sure that whatever they're using, the colloquialisms would be a Japanese form of address that would use a system I'm completely unfamiliar with, as I, only study, mostly study European history.
I mean, it could
So,
be. It could be, or they could just be referring to it in universe as something completely different from what's standard for them.
I mean, this is a show to sell toys to children. So,
Anime is not always for children.
no, this is a nostalgia show, which means it's to sell toys to children and toys to adults. So, we're going to go ahead and see episode 2 today, which I understand that we're going to switch from the side of the from the space Germans to who are these guys? The space French?
I've thought about this before, and I cannot remember to what angle I came at this from.
Well, their logo looks like the United Nations and had what was it? Liberty, sovereignty, autonomy, dignity, which recalls fraternity, equality, liberty,
I
the
don't know
motto
at
of
what point.
French Republic.
It's somewhere early on in this season. I don't remember what point we get the backgrounds of like the Empire and the Alliance and whatnot. At which
Well,
point
the
you'd be able to say, okay, they're basing this on this, or that sort of thing.
well, the Empire is clearly German. They dress like World War, they dress like early 20th century German Imperials. Their logo is the freaking Bavarian double-headed eagle.
Right, I'm not debating that. I'm talking about the
Yeah.
Alliance side.
Yeah, we'll have to
I
see the alliance.
I remember their history. I just don't remember what I thought they would be based on, because obviously I was making some comparisons that would simplify things in my own mind.
Well, they've got some NATO theming going on, so because their ships are definitely more utilitarian and their uniforms look a little more naval, which I guess like they're supposed to be relatable. Well, I guess we'll see. Um, so we'll see today in episode 2, which they're going to flip flop from the different sides. One gray, one blue, a nation torn apart by civil. Wait, I'm thinking of a different miniseries. All right, but I'm game.
All right, well, I say let's go ahead and get into it. But before we get started, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and comment down below to feed that algorithm. On top of all that, if you want to watch more shows like this, unfiltered, uncensored, and uncut, as well as some early access stuff, you can check it out over on the Patreon. Just $5 a month, but hey, no pressure. It's all to support the channel, just a little bit extra.
宇宙歴796年
Also known as ice. Oh, thank goodness they have both dating systems. I'm so confused.
2 different calendars for 2 different governments.
That's like, I can't watch a science fiction series unless they have their own calendar. I mean, I'm not immersed.
I think it makes a specific amount of sense once we get to the history part.
I
remember this bit.
They did. It was right at the very end, right? What they do was putting his hat on.
Oh, okay.
They said they were receiving a transmission.
Why would you say X hours earlier? Why wouldn't you tell us precisely? We know the precise year, but you can't tell us the time. Sure.
See, even though his shirt isn't pink, that's why I would describe more as a pink than, say, this ship that's about to show up in half a second. Okay, maybe I see that there. It's being the reflection of the clouds are on it and making it look pink. Or the other ship's proximity.
It's just a little unfortunate.
But we've seen it in the show, and it's very clearly a white ship. It's like an ivory-looking thing.
Its design is certainly a choice. Someday this castle will all be yours.
I have no idea. There's just a lot of characters in this show. I think I did a comparison on the concept boards that I had built up, and this show had almost as many characters. Or no, I think the show had more characters than many, many more episodes of Gundam I had watched.
Yeah, well, that's, if
like 116 characters and like 90 episodes versus like a little over 100 in 100 plus episodes of Gundam.
Hey, if 9 characters are good, 27 characters is 3 times as good. That's math.
Well, also that a lot of the characters in The Legend of the Galactic Heroes come back and continue to matter, whereas a bunch of the Gundam characters just vanish off to the wayside.
Yeah, it's like Marvel Universe that way.
Second Fleet.
Well,
remember the Fourth Fleet was the one that got attacked first, and it was the other fleet, I think, that they attacked second. So the Second Fleet is the one that didn't get hit yet.
That's interesting that they have a Chinese character here. Usually these shows are like, would be all Germanic or all Japanese. Just this Chinese guy just shows up.
How about your argument there before, Raph?
See, military genius. Okay, you guys realize the encirclement doesn't work because they just jam your communications and then you can't talk to each other and then they just break your lines.
I mean, assumedly they had a plan in place where constant communications wouldn't 100% need necessary all the time.
Well, evidently they didn't. They got their butts kicked.
The hero of El Facil.
So it's Spanish, but he's also Lao, so... Okay, maybe they're just going to present... Which makes sense. They're going to present these guys as multicultural. Now kiss. What?
On one ship we have trams, on this ship we have elevators.
Which makes a tram makes more sense because the ship's horizontal. As someone who survived one of the most horrific battles ever, I have absolutely no PTSD whatsoever.
哨戒艇371より機関パトルクロスへ帝国軍艦艇想定中域に発見できず
Yeah, Greek name, so.
帝国軍艦艇想定中域に発見できずなんだとそんな
Well, Leonidas is also Greek.
ありえんことだ第4艦隊の指揮官に緊急通信応答なし電波干渉
So yeah, their patrol ship just noticed that the Imperial fleet's not in the position it's supposed to be. Try to communicate about it, and that's when they notice the jam.
こちらの包囲網が完成されていない以上、核攻撃は極めて妥当な戦法だ。
Yeah, I mean, even he figured it out. Wait, what if we just jam their what if we jam their connections and engage them asymmetrically?
ヤン准将
はい。
機関はこの事態をどう見る意見を言ってみたまえ
Remember, they introduced him as the hero of El Facil, so apparently he has some sort of background. He's not just asking some random dude.
彼らは分散した同盟軍の中から当面の敵を選択する権利を行使したわけです。
第4艦隊は持ちこたえることができるだろうか
See, I'm trying to figure out how do they know where the fourth fleet is and that it's the smallest?
It's their fleets. They know what formation they formed into.
But in order to know that, they would have to scan them. Can't these guys scan back and see where the other Imperial fleet is?
That's what we brought up the first time. That's an element I thought didn't make much sense either.
Okay.
I don't know what their scanner technology is. For all we know, they got people in windows with telescopes. I have no idea.
Well, I wouldn't bring them as an issue if they would comment in the show that the Empire has superior technology. Like commenting that we outnumber them, but the Empire has jammers and scanners that are better than ours. But no one mentions that. You ever seen those cell phone games where they put you on a path where you have strength 2 and you can choose to engage 1 or 4?
I don't have a cell phone.
You ever seen those ads?
Where would I see them?
All right. Well, maybe our listeners have seen them. Sorry, I'm just like this is just coming up where the way you win those games, you pick the path that you would actually win. That's what this feels like. It's like, wait, so he just chose a path where he would win? Can he do that? He's young and inexperienced. He'd never think of that.
I mean, to be fair, he did attack them in the center, dividing their forces up, and before they had a chance to react, attacked the next force.
Why do they not have a chance to react? Why would they make a barricade and then not be in communication with each other?
Showing that he's dead.
Yeah.
Well, because it seems like they were in the act of encirclement.
Right, and all these guys
were broken up.
Yeah, well, as soon as all these guys just standing around like this, as soon as the jam happened, they lost contact with the fleet. They know the fleet is dead. They should be, trying to rendezvous with the Imperials and destroy them.
Oh, no, that's what he said, is that their plan was to merge with the second fleet, form a larger joint fleet, and then counterattack the Imperials with their superior numbers, because we have a higher chance of victory.
Right!
Yeah, that's what they're in the middle of, and that's what the guy who was eating dinner last episode said that they were already in the middle of. We're going to join with the fourth fleet. I mean, not the fourth. We're going to join with the second fleet. The fourth fleet should be fine for right now, is what they said. They did not expect that the Imperials would just break off from attacking the fourth fleet to attack them while they were going to rendezvous with their other fleet.
But why would they not expect that when the Imperial fleet outnumbers the fourth fleet solo?
I don't know.
Right.
I think actually the fourth fleet was about equal numbers with the Imperial fleet. The Imperial fleet is like 1/3 the size of the entire Alliance fleet. That's
no, the fourth fleet's the smallest fleet. Remember, the Imperial's entire strategy is to engage when he outnumbers them, and the fourth fleet was described as the smallest one.
Right,
if he doesn't
still, the Imperial fleet's like 20,000 ships, and the fourth fleet was still 20,000 ships. Because the Alliance fleet has about 60,000 ships present here.
Then he doesn't outnumber them. Why did he say he outnumbered them if he doesn't outnumber them?
Maybe he currently outnumbers them.
I mean, that would mean that either of these fleets are trying to rendezvous are bigger than the Imperial army. He doesn't outnumber any of them.
Right, but they're shooting for better than 50-50 odds of victory.
Yeah, I mean, it's also a failure of intelligence on the Free Planet's part because they were planning to rendezvous, but they couldn't get there in time because the Imperial fleet is moving fast enough to engage the Fourth Fleet before the Second could rendezvous.
Yeah,
That's
I
a
think
failure.
There's an element at play here of sublight speeds that the Imperial fleet built itself up to go to max speed to engage the Fourth Fleet, and then turned before the other fleet even had a chance to start moving.
Right. I'm agreeing with everything you said. They're not saying that in the anime. Like, if they said that...
Again, I think that they have. I think the thing that I was telling you before, that this show takes things really fast, and they don't dwell on things to explain them out. They like one-line them.
They're not even one-lining it. I'm looking at this. They're not even saying that. They're engaging in stupid banter rather than talking about military details. Like they're trading like a dozen lines to say, hey, where's the Fourth Fleet? You know, the Fourth Fleet hasn't checked in. Huh. And we should go check in with the Fourth Fleet. That is our plan. And instead of saying things like, I'm worried we might not get there in time, or perhaps if the Imperials had launched early, like they don't do any leading lines like that. They just sit here and argue with each other like they have no idea what they're doing. It's a little
an element of incompetence in command, that's supposed to express how smart the main characters are.
Which is definitely something I agree with you, and that's but I mean it's sort of it's what they used to call the idiot ball. It's kind of like, you know, old people stupid, young people smart.
Well, I hate to say it, but I also think it's a theme of the show. But again, it's not a constant theme, considering there's a lot of, like this guy, he's one of the people that's sided with His Excellency.
Yeah. No, I mean,
not all old people are dumb, but it's more so that the old way of thinking is the dumb thing.
Right. No, I'm with you, but like I'm having flashbacks to a bunch of other like literature like that, which is what if we won instead of lose? It's like the most obvious strategies in the world. It doesn't feel like a brilliant reveal. It feels like, you know, what if we just did the world's most obvious thing? How did he communicate to them to give them this message if they were jamming it?
Again, they said it, I don't remember what they said. There was something that allowed them to communicate, that he sent a transmission to all of the ships, and I do not remember what they said happened.
Apparently they could have used that to call for help, instead they just used that to brag.
Well, no, because that's the same transmission he said to say, follow my orders and you will survive. So he's not calling for help, he's trying to unite what's left of the fleets.
Which these guys never received. Because the Second Fleet's not talking like they received it.
I think it's an element of the command structure of those fleets is gone. Because we saw one of the admirals from the very beginning is already floating dead and is very much exposed to space command, and the other guy was more incompetent than cowardly, as we already discussed.
He literally just said, they're jamming us? What if we communicated on a different line? Like, that's just ridiculous. Yeah, you gotta put in accept life support. That was an embarrassing day when they forgot to say no. Put that one point in life support too.
You don't want your over-ambitious engineering officer to make calls on his own.
I love it. They just deliver all the lines of this. the Commodore was prepared to shoot the enemy.
You remember way back at the beginning of the episode where we had the conversation before the Imperial fleet attacked. Gang was trying to tell his commanding officer we could be in danger here, and then he goes to like a command console. That's where he programmed this message to be delivered.
Yeah.
The idea is that he sent it out to all the ships before the jamming happened.
Yeah. And then they just sent a signal out that said go.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Why-
I know, it just seems like sometimes we might be talking over things, so I'm just trying to make sure that it's imperative that we didn't miss anything. If I don't say... The thing I used to always say to Griffin is if you don't say the obvious thing, people will think you missed it.
I don't think we missed it. I think they didn't do it. It's just like it's
Well, we saw that on screen.
right. No, I mean like yes, but the Commodore here is being shown doing something that is the most obvious thing ever. Like all of the fleet should have had that as a standby, that you release a message that says we're under attack, and then you hit the snooze button every 10 minutes so it doesn't go out.
No, his message was a whole battle plan.
Yeah, that's what you do. That's called standing orders.
No, he's changing the standing orders. He's sending a new battle plan, or he sent a new battle plan and he activated it on the old ships.
Right, somehow bypassing all jamming technology.
Yeah, that's the flaw here.
Right. I mean, that's kind of what I'm getting at, which is like I said, they should be reporting in every, few minutes. Like when the Fourth Fleet saw the Imperials, they should have sent out a signal that said we saw them.
Well, unfortunately, that's the first thing that we saw, is that the patrol ship reports back that the Imperials aren't in the right position. Then the Commodore says we need to send that message out so everybody else knows, and that's when the jamming happens.
Right, that's what the anime is doing, and I'm saying that is stupid. That's not what a real Navy would do. A real Navy would have been in contact sending signals of all clear, and as soon as they didn't get, as soon as the next check-in didn't come through with an all clear signal, we would know the Fourth Fleet was engaged because they stopped talking. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah. I'm just waiting to see your interpretation of this moment here.
It's a space battle. Once again, they're sinking in space.
Yeah. The circle of doom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because all of our weapons are forward-facing, and we're all moving forwards.
Yeah, and I'm agreeing with the Commodore here. I've never seen a formation like this. No, this is in battlefields all the time. They encircle you and then destroy you.
No, it's not encirclement. We're moving forwards towards your ass end, and your front end is moving towards our ass end. We're in a giant circle shooting each other in the ass.
Yeah.
That's why His Excellency says this is just a battle of attrition now.
Yes. It's a weird formation, too. It's also this weird thing where ships only travel forwards, because you could get momentum because it's space, and then turn, and then fire sideways.
I think the idea is that you wouldn't be able to then control where you were going. You would just be going straight, but back. So you'd go flying out of the circular formation, then have to then turn back the direction of your target, and then change your velocity.
Right, well, it does also ask questions why they don't have sideways pointing weapons, especially when they're missiles. Like, what you can't do
I think they're
broadsides.
laser cannons of some sort.
They're not coherent beams, they're some kind of glowing dot that travels faster than light.
That could still just be a high-energy beam.
Well,
High-energy beams lose power over distance, is their drawback.
Right. But I'm willing to let that go because it's a television series and we want to see things. Because look how close together they are. They should not be, no one should be this close together.
Actually, I don't think they're really, well, I mean, now they were that close, but at the beginning, I think I did math on Griffin to indicate what they had said before about their true distances.
Yeah.
And they were massively apart, like eiyus apart.
Right. You wouldn't see this visual. They wouldn't be this close together to see them this close together. But once I wasn't going to comment on that because I realized that it makes for a more compelling visual.
Well, I mean, that's the thing, is that they went from eiyus apart to basically the Imperial fleet being right in their face, which is what was the unexpected part. From
No, I mean, like right here, we shouldn't see 20,000 ships in one screen. Like the green ships should not be this close together. They should be further apart.
I don't know. That's an element that I brought up in the first episode reaction, talking about their visualization of how many ships are actually around to blot out the stars with them. It gives a good visual impact.
I mean, it looks good visual. I'll let that go.
優先と評してくれたが恐縮するねどうしましょう返電しますか
I can see why this is popular because like people are gonna comment, shut up. Like the contrast here is you can see he's more of a casual working class sort. He sits on tables, he talks to his allies with his friend here with a sense of camaraderie as if they're equals instead of the weird imperiousness that the other guy does. It's designed to have contrast that way. Also, look at their working class ship. It's military green for some reason.
I mean, this show is filled with contrast. I will agree with that.
It's all nicked up. Well, they've put some thought into it. They like I said, my issue here is that they're portraying stuff that should be common sense as stuff that's brilliant. Yeah, so they retreated rather than get shot in the butt.
Well, both sides retreated, is the thing.
Yeah.
The Galactic Empire was invading the star system.
Well, that's what I mean. Right, but they just said the galactic invasion of Astarte.
No, I'm sorry. I paused and I meant to keep going because I was taking a breath. The Galactic Empire was invading, but both sides retreated.
Right. So it's a stalemate, as they mentioned, seemingly.
Well, they also said that the Alliance lost 10 to 11 times as many ships as the Empire did.
But they didn't give us a perspective. How much of a percentage of the fleet is that?
They will.
Okay.
There's not a lot that doesn't get covered in this show. I mean, it does leave some questions to be asked. I believe one of the big questions I had with Griff was that how many people are on these ships? And I think they do give us the perspective to do some math on that later on.
Right. But that also matters, like, is this going to be... they've already portrayed two people with Chinese names. Is this going to be a Germany versus China situation?
Well, I mean, I think they've been very clearly some... I don't want to say American-looking dudes, but, some European-looking guys on the command staff of the Alliance ships, too.
Right. Which feels like they're cribbing from Gundam on this.
And, obviously the Greek names.
Yeah, which is weird. A weird choice.
Well, if it's an alliance, it could be, the whole UN motif that you said before.
Right.
Oh, the after credits thing.
Oh my god, he has a monocle. It's the future and he has a monocle.
I say it's the Galactic Empire.
Wonder, yes.
36th Kaiser.
Is this really going to execute him for his failure in battle?
I mean, technically, he did make the other side retreat, too.
銀河帝国軍上級大将ローエングラム伯ラインハルトは帝国元帥となる。しかし、これは彼の向かう場所へのほんのささやかな一歩に過ぎなかった。
Ooh, look at him. He's not wearing his uniform right. He's such a rebel.
No, I think that's it. That is... I mean, he's wearing his uniform right. He just also had the additive thing.
伝説 李ノイエテー
Adding a thing is not wearing it right. It's called military
ゼ上昇
discipline
の天才
and indomitable prodigy.
Well, no, it's like a dress uniform edition. When I was going to
Okay.
my character drawn here in the overlay, I was almost going to go with that, but I thought that was too much.
Yeah. So, okay. So we're 2 episodes in, and all right. I promise I wasn't gonna be a hater. All right, this could have been 1 episode. We could have introduced the fleet. There was a lot of people standing around and repeating themselves a lot about stuff. Like I said, was incredibly obvious, and not a lot of I mean, I know I get where they're going, but it feels very silly that characters are. It's got that kind of dark place vibe going for it.
I feel like this is where I step in and say that these shows, I feel like, are made more for me than for you. That this would be...
Oh, I'm not saying that.
No. That's what I feel like. I feel like this was the perfect pacing for me to be able to keep up with everything. That perhaps the old school, where this would obviously have been longer, to my interpretation of what the commenters have said before, would be the too long version for me. But this was exactly right for me. But for you, who thinks everything is obvious and is keeping up with everything as it happens, that maybe you could go for an even shorter version of the show.
Well, I could see. Okay, I could see this being 2 episodes, but the issue I have with this is they're not. If this is supposed to be military sci-fi, like the problem I have with this is they're not doing enough. They're not doing enough technobabble or inside baseball. I mean, come on. I'm sad I'm gonna say this. I'm a Tom Clancy fan. Okay, I've read Clive Cussler and Tom Clancy and naval battle novels and seen some of the movie adaptations, and they would have a lot more dense talk about tactics and like a little more, gear. Instead, the battles in this are ships flying through space and just shooting at each other. There was a couple fighter planes, which was kind of cool to watch, but the explosions are kind of lackluster. And like I said, the tactics make no sense. It was, hey, look, they outnumber us. We'll just go there and kill them. And won't they call for help? I'll push the don't call for help button.
You remember
Oh, no.
when I said that I think you have to give it at least 3 episodes to really figure out what it's about? I think that's more so because I don't think what you said is true. The first part about the show being about the space battles.
I'm not saying it. I'm not saying it doesn't have.
I just think that the show is primarily leans towards the politics and the world building more so than just the space battles. That perhaps showing that in the first 2 episodes was the mistake.
Yes, I see. That's where I would agree with you. If this show is supposed to be about the politics, then showing us this lackluster space battle, it sure shows off your budget and your CG stuff. Like they could have told us that in flashbacks. They could have opened with the admiral going, being. They could have opened with lohengramm here being named the fleet admiral. And then other people you could have the older guys talking about, he's too young to have this position. It's like, didn't you hear about the battle? What do you mean about the battle? And then do flashback sequences where they cut back to that. And then you could flip this around and have our young upstart and his flashback sequences of how he fought the guy. And that would be, we would already be in the politics because they would be back in their political places while flashing back to those sequences. And that way we'd be opening with the politics. Instead, they open with these battles here, which are very slow paced. And like I said, invite questions about this world that we didn't need. So, I mean, I know we're maybe not supposed to comment on fixing that kind of stuff, but.
Well, no, I got no problem with it. I'm just trying to put it, what your criticisms into scope with what I know already. And I feel like the first half of the show is more about setting things up and showing them than it is about building onto and developing. Well, so the first, say, 6 episodes of the show is more about, hey, here's our characters, here's the society they live in, here's what we're doing. And from there on, we start actually going into forward momentum. story
Well,
wise.
while I agree with you, these first 2 episodes did a crappy job of setting it up. I learned about the neutral zone. First, they had a 1-minute voiceover that says, "Here's the Empire. Here's the Free Trader. Here's the neutral zone. Okay, 1 minute, done." And like, okay, that told me about what's going on. And then we had these battles, and notice I had lots of questions in these battles. How big are the relative fleets compared to each other? What's their technological issues? Is one of these more advanced than others? Does one of these specialize in a different kind of weapon? When the Free Trade Alliance takes 10 times as much, does that matter? Is their fleet just shittier and cheaper? Are they doing a Russian or Chinese technique where their fleet is just bigger and cheaper so they can still weather that losses because they're the Free Trade Alliance? They could outnumber the stupid Galactic Empire 20, 30, 40 to 1, but
Free
they don't.
Plants Alliance.
Free Plants.
There was
but
a Dominion thing. That was the trade people. Just want to clarify.
But they didn't mention that in these first 2 episodes. So I don't know what the relative strength is. I just know that they keep stalemating. And like, I'm confused here. If they seemingly, like they already said here, they keep having stalemates. How can they keep having stalemates if the Empire can blow away 10 times as much? Is that because this guy was brilliant and he got, even though the battle was a stalemate, he still inflicted 10 times as much losses on them? And that's why they're promoting him, because he inflicted that much. If that was true, no one's commenting on that in this episode. No one's commenting on, did you hear? He inflicted 10 times as much losses. And another general could say, yes, but he still got, thousands of people killed. He's a loose cannon. They could be showing me that, and it would be dramatic instead of the nothing I just saw.
I believe they mentioned during this episode, actually, I thought it might be the last one, that there was a similar combat that they had in a different star system. They named it, I just can't, it's escaping me right now, where the Empire just got completely fucking destroyed in this very same scenario. So this guy coming out of it with a stalemate versus the last time they did this, where it was a complete loss, I feel is kind of that statement.
I mean, it's what I'm getting at here is the way they're rendering it is flavorless. They just kind of drop it on you and talk in a monotone. No one's reacting or emoting. Like compare this to, say, Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, where the characters actually talk to each other, emote, and have positions, and I can tell you who they are. This is a bunch of faceless people standing around just kind of talking at each other.
I guess. I don't know. I come from more shows in recent memory where we've literally had characters with no emotion, and I feel like these characters still have some. Look, there's a comment I made to Justin the other day where literally I call it the Plank test. You remember Ed, Edd, and Eddy?
Yeah.
Plank from Ed, Edd, and Eddy. If I could replace any character to show with Plank, that other character is not needed. If you don't have the personality of Plank, or if you have the personality of Plank, then you're not a character.
I could replace everybody in the show with Plank.
I don't think so.
Yeah, you could have replaced the fleet admiral with Plank. It'd just be guys saying, "Do you want us to charge forward?" Shot to Plank. But it might be suicide. Okay, we'll do it. Oh my God, we actually broke through their ranks. Or like even the other guy, it was like be
a hilarious fan edit.
Or Commodore Wang here, which was like, "Oh no, they're blowing all of us up. What should we do?" I guess we should keep going forward. What's that beeping noise? Someone pre-programmed a signal in before the jamming. It somehow gets through the jamming. It must have been Plank. Instead of like I get that they showed us him doing
he
it.
Has agency. I mean, he has agency. That's more than Plank does it. But I mean, the idea of he has this conversation with his commander before the battle happens. Right. His commander says, "No, that's not the way of things." Then he gets some sort of emotion about it to the point where he pre-programs this message in and transmit it to the entire fleet.
Right. Now, I do like Wang. I liked Wang's characterization, the fact that he talks to people, interfaces, and like you said, has agency. Like I said, the thing that's bothering about this is I don't know how their weapon technology works. Like, if they know, do they not know that the Empire can jam their communications? Because it seems like a huge weakness in warfare. Because the fleet admiral's big linchpin to his strategy was mute them.
I don't know.
And
I
they
just
seem
kind
to
of assume that
that was a
everybody
thing.
has it.
Then if everyone has it, why didn't they plan for it? I mean, they've been at war for a long time now and a bunch of stalemates. Why did they not know they could be muted? The whole thing is where you're saying, we need to rendezvous with the Fourth Fleet. Well, they haven't responded. Huh. I wonder why they haven't. Let's keep going anyway.
I would kind of assume that at least Wang, or Yang did, rather, because he pre-programmed this message knowing that it might get jammed later.
Why is Wang the only person in the entire fleet that seems to know this?
Incompetence of command. I keep saying it. It's the only thing that makes sense to me.
So they've been at war for generations, and if you're wondering what the frustrating dividing line is, it's like I said, the idiot ball thing. It's kind of like, if I'm supposed to root for these characters and appreciate their wartime struggle, the fact that thousands, if not millions of people are going to die because their military commanders aren't doing the most basic precautions makes me lose investiture in the series. It doesn't feel tragic. It feels almost willful ignorance that isn't but once again, if this was a young adult show,
I do not feel that's willful ignorance from the authors. I believe that that's willful ignorance from the characters, knowing what I know of the show.
It seems really silly. It doesn't make the Imperial commanders like, it doesn't make the Imperial Fleet commander's decision feel like a genius. It feels like, I can't believe no one thought of this thing.
I think it's more so that it goes against traditional doctrine sort of thing, right? That's why the guy on the bridge was saying we should retreat. This is exactly how we lost last time. It would be foolish to do this. We can't just lose all of our lives for no reason.
Which also brings up the question of, so why did we mobilize the fleet if we were just going to fly out there and retreat? It's so weird. But I guess maybe they wanted to imply they only found out that they're here from intel once we got here.
That is literally a question I think gets answered in episodes 3 and 4. But when we start going back and start looking at these people in the world that they live in and not in the frame of a battle.
All right. Well, I guess we'll see if there's backfill that explains this later. I still think that for an hour of running time or 50 minutes of running time that we had, I have seen other anime. I mean, Macross immediately jumps to mind, that did a better job of this kind of exposition explaining the stakes, the technology, and the numbers.
I don't think that example holds up well. Macross specifically. Macross, they don't even know what the technology does and can't explain it.
Okay, Super Dimensional Fortress.
Yeah. I'm currently in the middle of watching that. I'm in, 19 episodes in at the moment?
Yeah.
21 episodes in, sorry. Plus, I watched Macross Zero first because that takes place earlier.
Well, I'm using that as I'm trying to use an anime example, but like I said, I've read a lot of techno thrillers and stuff, which are doing
I'm just
way better
saying,
job.
in Macross, you're using Macross as an example of them knowing the technology. They can't even explain why shit's happening on Macross because it's all alien tech. They don't know why the gravity system's ripping themselves out of the ship. Why did our main gun fire? They don't know.
But that's better than this, which is, my complaint about this was, how did they, if the other guys have the same tech we do, how did we not know they were going to jam us?
Obviously, that one I can't field. I don't know.
That's why I'm saying that's my issue. In Macross, when you say we don't know why the main gun fired, well, they even figured that in the first episode. So the main gun fired because they, when the enemy showed up, there was a system built into their ship that fired the main gun as a defense because that was still on. But yeah, you're right. It's like they don't necessarily know how the alien tech works. But on the other hand, it's like they detect the gravity folds, they see the enemies, their ship fires back, they get in a battle. Some Minmay, I think it's Minmay, has to get rescued by not Rick Hunter. His name's something different in the American version. Ikaru. And they blow up a bunch of buildings. But like I said, at least people are reacting to it, and they're also reacting to things they don't understand. Whereas in this episode, it was like the Fourth Fleet gets jammed, and we're jammed, and then they get blown up, and everyone died, and it was like no one seems to have figured out this was a viable strategy.
I feel like there's elements in between that's obviously not playing well for you, but at least makes it acceptable to me. Like, you're saying the Fourth Fleet gets jammed and they're just dead. But when we see the Fourth Fleet get jammed, The moment they get jammed, their scout ship is reporting back that they're not the Imperial fleet's not there. We get an element of the Imperial fleet's been accelerating this whole time. I know there's an element of how does their scanners work, because obviously I feel like we should be able to see all this.
You're making stuff up. It's like
I'm not making stuff up. It was in the episodes.
You're making stuff up in the regard that you're saying, like, if my issue is the weirdo blasé reaction they had to this. If they're supposed to run in with the Fourth Fleet and the Fourth Fleet isn't there, they should immediately go on alert and go, holy shit, battle stations, everyone. We have to, like, the Fourth Fleet didn't report in. We're being invaded. This is a real, not a drill. But no one does that.
No, because they were in an encirclement maneuver. They were spreading their fleets out to encircle the Imperial fleet once they arrived on it. They weren't meeting up with one another. There was the far right fleet is meeting up with the second fleet once they realize that they're under attack by the Imperial fleet. It's something that they plan to do after they already realize they're under attack.
In order for all of this to work, they had to give their orders to say, we're going to go to this place, and as we go to this place, we are never, ever going to report in to anyone else where we are, and we'll also be out of every form of detection range. So at no point will any of us be talking to each other until we get to our positions, like we're some kind of 15th century Spanish Armada with no radio or communications.
I would assume they still had semaphore back then, but
right.
Yeah, I know you're repeating it back to me as though I don't understand that. No, I get that. That was a problem.
Well, I think the issue here is
what I'm saying is that I'm only responding back to you with what the show said, and the show said, okay, they're acting independently of one another now, with the understanding that everyone would be acting with the same motivations.
My thesis here is the show is trying to show me that these main characters are highly skilled and innovative thinkers, when in reality, they've just made the entire universe dumber and made them the leaders of the idiocracy.
That's probably an acceptable thesis.
Okay, right. Now, I'm not saying this is a deal breaker, but I'm saying, like, if they're trying to impress me, it's like making the entire universe dumber so these guys rise to the top is not exactly a kind of fun escapist fantasy. It's more frustrating to watch because you keep asking yourself, like, why are, instead of our heroes, I mean, like, Wang has a level of agency, but it's also like, if he's in the Kingdom of the Blind and has one eye here, it's kind of hard for me to root for our heroes when the universe is so favorable for their victory conditions.
I mean, I understand what you said, but I don't know why it would be hard to root for them, even under those circumstances. If the galaxy or the universe is dumb, and our characters are the smartest people in a dumb universe, then it seems easier to root for them.
It's not believable. It's like a Neil Breen or a Tommy Wiseau movie.
Maybe a Neil Breen. I wouldn't say a Tommy Wiseau movie. He's not the smartest person in his own world. Neil Breen is obviously the savior of every movie that he's in.
No, I use Tommy Wiseau as an example because he's the best customer. Like, he's getting a promotion at the bank. He walks in the floor shop and they say, you're our best customer. Everybody likes him and gets along with him. He didn't hit her. All of this, he had, it's, I mean, that's a tragedy, but I'm using those as examples of the entire universe goes the way of those protagonists to a point because the universe was written so it goes their way. I'm not trying to use examples we have in common. Like, I could start digging up other, bad Michael Crichton novels or Ayn Rand novels that also do that.
I guess that's where we fall on different sides of the fence, right? The only Ayn Rand novels I've read, I enjoyed. Same thing for Michael Crichton. The only ones that I've read, I enjoyed. So using any bad examples would just indicate that you thought they were bad. So
we got point counterpoint here. So
I mean, it works. I enjoy a good debate, even though I have nothing really to throw back. So it's not really a good debate. It's just all I can say is what I've seen versus any interpretation.
We can see more. I think, like I said, the issues I have are, like, I could forgive some of this if we had more surprises or heaven forbid, even more like, trying to phrase this, like excitement. Like this isn't very exciting to watch. It's we're not seeing weird wow stunts or cool sideways maneuvers or strange weapons. Like, you know, in a Yamato, they would have ships, they would show fighter planes taking off or docks or flipping over or missiles or that kind of stuff. A lot of this is just ships in space and then they get slammed into and explosions and
It's
sink.
like the fighter craft from the first episode.
I mentioned the fighter craft were a highlight, but they're like what? 50 seconds out of
They're
this
like
50
my
minutes?
favorite fighting craft of all sci-fi, I think. I love the way that they're like X-Wing fighters. If the X-Wing weren't the engine in the middle, if the engine put the engines on the side, and those bits were flipping around all the time.
Yeah, they looked great. Notice we like, and they are so trivial that we don't even have a fighter pilot main character. I mean, it's like, yes, I agree they were interesting, but we spent a lot more time of, you know, people on trams and elevators talking about.
I suppose the takeaway that I feel most of all from your criticism is that the show could have been restructured in a better way to present everything to us in a better format.
It could have been more dramatic. I think the major problem, having people standing around and talking to each other, this didn't even need to be an anime. You could have done this, like, even the Battlestar Galactica TV show was more lively than this, and that was actors.
A light novel before it.
Well, and this isn't the first adaptation of Legend of Galactic Heroes, which is another issue here. It's like, you guys already did this. So it's a lot of talking and people telling it. It's a lot of people talking and telling us how brilliant they are, which is while demonstrably not being brilliant. So they should have done one of two things. They should have made them brilliant, which I understand is difficult, or they could have, like you just said, you know, cut to the feeling. If the politics is what this is about, why did we watch 50 minutes of what the show is not good at? You know, like I said earlier with my joke, it's like, you know, like this was not. If this is foreplay, I'm not looking forward to the sex.
I feel like I could say that the space battle bits get better, but I don't know that you would be satisfied with them.
Well, I believe,
because my perspective here is that you're reading into things that I didn't even consider when I watched it the first time.
No, we're agreeing. It's this weird thing about science fiction. I've called this the round room problem, where it's like, you know, the Stockholming problem. It's like, well, just keep watching it; it gets better. So we'll watch episode 3, episode 4, and by the time we get to episode 12. The anime must have been good. What kind of idiot would I have been if I watched 12 episodes of something I didn't like?
Well, no, I don't mean that. I mean that I tend to consider the world that I'm watching just based on what they show me. I don't bring in outside stuff like you were saying. You read a lot of Tom Clancy novels and everything. You're used to what naval combat should be in a real world scenario. Versus I'm just watching and I'm thinking, they said this, they've said that. Okay, those are the elements that I'm working with. So I didn't bring anything to it. So I just liked it, what I saw for what it was.
Well, you've heard the Boss Baby joke, right?
No.
Okay, the Boss Baby joke is, here's a quote from a guy whose only movie he's ever seen is Boss Baby. Getting real Boss Baby vibes from watching this. I mean, yeah, if you haven't seen anything else, but like I said, even if you judge the movie diegetically, again, I'm still trying to figure out, like, wait, they had a jam communications button this entire time and no one planned for it? No one even talked about that move as being genius. I mean, even Commander Wang said, well, they're just jamming our communications. Yeah, I guess they would just do that. No one thought they would do that. And no one's even saying what you said out loud, which is, that's not honorable. No one would jam communications. Everyone knows the Empire fights with honor. Like, they didn't even mention that part of it. It's so, like I said, it's so weird to me that the world's most obvious strategy of, why don't we blow up the smaller fleet before they rendezvous?
Well, again, like, they weren't rendezvousing. I keep bringing that up.
Okay. They are taking 3 smaller fleets and combining them in one bigger one so they can act as bigger.
No, they weren't. They were spreading out. They were 3 separate fleets spreading out. That's why they were in a formation where 2 of them were kind of ahead of the middle fleet. They were going into encirclement. They were spreading themselves out.
The entire Imperial guys discussion was instead of being outnumbered, we can attack the 4th fleet, which is the smallest fleet, before they outnumber us.
Right, they're attacking the center fleet and that's why they accelerated so fast before anyone noticed that they changed position.
So
before the other fleets would be able to reinforce them. They're trying to attack one fleet before any of the 2 on the sides can turn and reinforce.
I apologize for using the word rendezvous. They attacked them before they were in formation. Does that work better?
Sure.
Okay. And my issue here is that, so the Imperial fleet just raced and blew up that one fleet before they were in formation, and no one on, like, that never entered the imaginations of the
I don't know what their I don't know what their pre-setup ideas were. We do get the conversation with Gang, where Gang suggests something like this could happen, and the guy says no. I don't remember his full-ass communication with Yang, but he basically says, no, that's not worth considering. Which is why Yang does this whole programming, sending a message thing.
I know, but
then,
it's so...
back in the first episode, we also get the fact that the side commanders, recognizing that the 4th fleet is under attack, go to rendezvous with each other instead of the 4th fleet, because they, for some reason, assume that the 4th fleet can hold out, because the 4th fleet is just as strong as the Imperial fleet is. But the Imperial fleet does a hit and run, hits the middle fleet, doesn't completely destroy them, just leaves them there, and it turns to engage another fleet to get as many casualties in as possible before those 2 fleets can merge together.
Which implies that the Imperial fleet moves faster than the Alliance ship.
I thought it implied back when I first saw it that it takes time to build up speed, because we first see the Imperial fleet a far distance away, and it seems like the patrol ship the scout ship that the Alliance fleet sends out is trying to report on where it should be, not anticipating that they've sped up. So it's some sort of relativistic build up to speed that's happening.
Well, and here, like, this is what I'm saying. This is why I'm saying you're inventing stuff. We had 50 minutes and no one in the show said anything like what you're saying right now. If someone in the show had said that, I would shut the hell up. But no one in the show talks about any of this. They don't say they came at us so fast, we'll never be able to catch them before, everyone turn about. Sir, our engines are too damaged, or we'd have to slingshot around. No one says that in the show, but they had 50 minutes to say it.
Fair enough.
I know.
I recognize that I am interpreting, and things aren't. They did not say that, so I grant you that.
All of your interpretations are valid. I mean, the anime is so. I mean, maybe it gets more about politics. If the anime cares about politics more than it cares about naval warfare, don't waste our time with 50 minutes of bad naval warfare.
Right, which is why I said your proposition that they could have restructured the episodes or story better to give us what the show seems to care about more. But again, that's also my interpretation of what the show cares about more when I'm telling you what might be coming. So,
well, if it's more bad naval warfare, I mean, it like I say, it's really weird, especially because they've had decades to think about this.
There's obviously a dedicated fan base to it, so it can't be as bad as maybe the first 2 episodes of a reimagining have possibly made it out to be.
Well, just because something has a dedicated fan base doesn't make it good. There are He-Man and G.I. Joe fan bases.
110 episodes good. They kept getting funding to make more episodes.
Right.
Which means that they were obviously selling the toys.
Well, it also might be, like I said, we're middle-aged men watching this show. If this was intended for smaller children who don't care about that kind of stuff or have Boss Baby vibes, I could see, I could understand not wanting to get fuller or more detailed than that. But I would also flip this around and saying, but if I was like a 9 or 11-year-old, I would be bored. Like I'm once again, I'm comparing this to like Macross or other military shows, and like shit would have been blown up.
Yeah, I don't think that the topics that this show suggests to cover would be interesting to a 9-year-old. So I think this
Right.
is pointed more towards at least
Yeah.
late teens to adults.
So this might pick up, but I was gonna say, like, as somebody who enjoys military sci-fi, you know, who's read In Honor Harrington and Mankus and Moore's book, this is this. I would agree with you. This feels like an obligatory opening to something to get out of the way to get to what they wanted to, but I don't know why it took them 50 minutes to do it.
All right. Well, I feel like we've actually gone around in circles a number of times on our thoughts. I think we're basically have said everything, right? Do you have any other final thoughts you want to wrap up with?
Like I said, I would like to see where they go from here. Hopefully, they go up from here.
All right. Well, I think that is us for today. This has been Stoneface Reactions. Once again, I am Theta. This is Rafferty, and we will catch you next time. Bye-bye.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching another Stoneface Reactions. If you have an idea of another video we could go ahead and watch, go ahead and put it in the comments down below and we'll add it to the wheel. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe and let us know what you thought about this video, what parts you liked. And until then, we'll see you next time. Is this too goofy?